Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to, I guess, episode number 21 of our Tuesday night Zoomcast. And for those of you that are the loyal viewers that are back each and every week, thanks for that. And we look forward to putting together some information for you tonight that hopefully you'll find to be valuable. My name is Matt. Excuse me. My name is Matt Leaf. I'm the director of the Officiating Education Program. And I'm joined tonight by Dave LaBuda, our national referee in chief, and Steve Tatro, who is our Minnesota district referee in chief. The three of us tonight are going to share some information with you, updates in terms of some of the registration numbers and some of the other issues and topics that are hot and relevant to the officiating program as of, I guess, November 10th, 2020, during what is certainly a challenging year with the pandemic, and certainly a very interesting year in terms of how hockey is being played and where it might fit into the grand scheme of things. Before we really get started tonight, I just want to remind you, if you do have a question, feel free to use the Q&A section. We'll try to monitor those throughout the course of the session, and pick out some of those to have our panelists answer. If you're unfamiliar with Zoom, it's at the bottom of the screen. There should be a button that says Q&A, and you can submit any questions that you might have there. With that being said, I'm going to start out as we do every Tuesday night with a series of poll questions that it gives us an opportunity to get a little bit more feedback from our membership and from those that are participating. So we're going to launch that right now. Tonight we have 5 questions for you. And if you could just take a few minutes here to go through each one of those 5 questions and give us your best answer. And then once you scroll down to the bottom, you'll have an opportunity to submit those answers. We'll then take a look at them real quick, share them with you, and we'll get going with the presentation tonight. Okay, we're going to stop the polling and we're going to share real quick so everyone can see the results. The first question, basically, how's your personal 2021 season gone thus far? Looks like about 17% say it's excellent. Hockey is relatively normal in terms of providing them with the schedule. 21%, it's okay. It's going okay, but certainly there's been a lighter schedule and not as much hockey going on in their area in the past. Below average, 28%, so a little bit less than a third. Not as many games to work this season. A third, basically 31% unsatisfactory, is that there's no games going on in your current area. And we have one non-official with us tonight. And thanks for, again, as always, thanks for joining us and learning a little bit more about the officiating program. Question number 2, if you're working or watching games for non-officials on a regular basis, how has the level of play been according to the Declaration of Player Safety? 17% say that it's definitely improved and that teams have adjusted to the expected standards. 24%, there has been an improvement with some teams, but there's still some teams out there that simply just don't get it. 21% are saying no change, and 38% are saying no opinion. They really haven't seen enough games this season to make a determination on that. Question number 3. How would you rate your overall experience attending a virtual classroom seminar? 14% loved it, provided all the information they needed and set them up to have a successful season in an efficient manner. 55% enjoyed it. It was good, but they still missed the live in-person interaction that we would have at a normal seminar. 10% not enjoyable, not as effective, and that's understandable because not everyone learns in the same way, and different needs when it goes to those types of things. 17% have not attended a virtual seminar either as of yet, and again, are one non-official. Question number 4. For future seminar attendance, which is the most important factor in creating a positive experience? 21% say the schedule flexibility and the convenience. 34%, just over a third, say the quality of the instruction. 7% suggest that minimizing the time commitment is the most important thing for them. 10%, the use of video examples for teaching interpretations and expectations. 24% say the ability to interact in person with fellow officials and having that live seminar. And the final question, basically, do you personally know of any officials, players, coaches who are not participating this season because of COVID-19? A whopping 79% or 80% say yes, and 21% say no. So again, thanks for taking a couple minutes here to give us that feedback. That's something that we do take very seriously. And I know that as we move forward with our education programs, some of this information will be certainly shared with our district referees and chiefs, and make sure that they have that information and they have that feedback in their back pocket as we make decisions moving forward on the format of our education programs. So thank you very much for that. Steve, Dave, any quick comments on any of the polling information that kind of sort of struck out at you a little bit?
Well, I think it pretty much supports the registration numbers and the feedback that we're getting with regards to the virtual seminars and what we're getting in our regular conferencing, teleconferencing with the district referees and chiefs about what's the status of hockey in their area. Steve, you have anything?
Yes, I was surprised that there are a vast majority of you that want that in-person seminar. So I definitely think that's going to be something that we come up with, making sure that we have that option available. Probably not as much, but I think the virtual portion of it is well received. But you know what, we got to cater to our customers, and I'm sure we're probably going to have, you know, at least some in-person stuff for you.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen. I'm going to start out tonight. I wanted to share some of the registration data and registration information. I know that that's always something that usually brings is a point of interest for most people. Let's see if we can get this started here. So basically, this is registration data as of Sunday, I guess, 11/9 or Monday morning. And as you can see, we have a significant decrease. The orange numbers, or the orange bar, is the 2021 registration, and the blue is the comparing to 1920 season as of 11/9, the 9th of November in both years. So it's as of this date. It's not a end of season comparison for the 2019-2020 season. As you can see, we're running at about 54% of where we're at with the level one, brand new level one officials this season. And that's something that obviously is going to be a concern down the road. It's also relatively understandable, and that with the uncertainty, knowing that most of our brand new officials are younger, the uncertainty of their playing season and everything else that's involved with that isn't just going to automatically steer them towards giving officiating a try. On the flip side, the returning officials, 2, 3s, and 4s, we're running at about 82% of where we were last year at this time. And in a second here, I'll show you some data as how that's picked up recently. It wasn't that long ago where overall we were running at about 55% in the middle of September for all registrations, and now we're up to the 71%, which is that third column there. Going to the next slide. So again, registrations as a percentage of last season. What I just said, level ones are running at about 54%. Level 2s, 3s, and 4s returning officials at about 82%, and overall we're running at 71%. Complete officials as of 11/9. Basically, we're just over 8,000. And last year at this time, we were over right around or just under 13,000. But keep in mind, from a percentage basis, that's statistically about the same. They're both running right in that 48 to 50% range in terms of total number of officials that are registered, that are complete at this time. So even though we're lacking in numbers, it's because we're lacking in numbers in overall registration, not necessarily anything trending as it relates to the complete component of it. Finally, well, not quite finally, but I also wanted to show you what the trends have been. And this was pretty much consistent throughout the month of October as well. Excuse me, but you'll notice in the orange is the 19 or 2020-21 season. And that is the number of officials who have registered in the first week of November, from November 1 through November 7th. So the orange, the larger proportion of that pie is this current season, whereas the blue was last season. And what that shows us, there's actually a 50% or 57% increase in the number of officials that registered during that same week this season over last season. So that kind of sort of shows that many of our returning officials were kind of sort of a wait and see, knowing that their card and crest didn't expire until November 30th. A little bit of a wait and see to see what was going to happen with hockey in their area. And that was pretty consistent throughout the entire month of October as well. And you'll also notice then for the number of officials that completed during that time as a percentage of total number of officials, there is a sizable increase. It's basically 2 to 1 in terms of the number of officials that completed during that first week in November this year compared to last year. And then finally, just to go a quick show in terms of where's everyone's at in terms of seminar. We've had roughly 15,000 officials complete their seminar or virtual seminar thus far this season. We still have, I think, 85 that are currently posted right now, and still planning for additional seminars through the month of November and early December, or basically as long as we need to do that to be able to accommodate all of our membership. The modules are running just over 10,000, just under 11,000 that have completed that. And the open book exam running just under 12,000, which is, again, on a percentage basis, is relatively similar to the previous season. So in a nutshell, that is a quick summary of where we are at from a registration standpoint. At this point, I'm going to kind of sort of turn it over to the panelists a little bit. And my first question is for Steve, is as the Minnesota District Referee in Chief, you're running a little bit over 80% in terms of registrations from last season at this point. What are you hearing? What are you seeing in Minnesota in regards to any type of registration trends? And what's the general feeling of the officials in Minnesota right now?
Yeah, to be exact, it's almost 82%, 81.6% registrations to date, which is about 450 officials less than we were at last year, the completion of last year, I should say. And I guess the trend I noticed is much like you explained, is officials are waiting to see if they're going to make a commitment to officiate based on the number of games or the availability of games in their area. And obviously, Minnesota is no different than the rest of the nation. The surge in October and significant surge in November is basically saying that, yeah, our officials are a little bit more confident we're going to have hockey, and it's just not going to be as soon as they expected. Overall, I guess we'll probably be at about 10 to 15% of down from last year. I've noticed that many of the Minnesota officials are usually notoriously late in registering anyway. We have a lot of other activities going on up until November and October, so it was not too significant a change of the surge. It kind of just was it little fluctuation for the way we normally operate. And just to note that, I would probably venture a guess that games are going to be down 10 to 15% also.
No, that's a good point, Steve. And just for kicks and giggles too, player registrations right now are running at about 80%, also in terms of where they were at last season, with the vast majority of that being down at the adult level. Whereas most of the youth is running about 93% from 9 to 18 years old. But there's a significant drop in the number of adult players who are registered, and also the number of 8 and under, and especially the 6 and under players who are registered for this season. Dave, what's your take on the national numbers, and how concerned are we regarding those numbers and ability to serve all of our membership? And I guess more importantly, what incentive does an official have to register now when there may not be a lot of hockey played in their area?
Well, those are all very good questions, and I'll try to answer all of them, maybe not in the order in which you asked them. First of all, the overall numbers nationally for officiating, as you just said, Matt, are pretty much in line with what players are, where players are at, and where coaches are at. As Steve said, games are down. So from a broad perspective, a national viewpoint, the numbers are as good as they can be at this point in time. Clearly, the pandemic is the primary factor, and it's affecting everything that is going on in the hockey world. To that end, I mean, we all are working and doing everything we can to bring hockey back, keeping in mind that, USA Hockey, or first of all, hockey is a year-round sport, and USA Hockey is a year-round operation. We, as you said, we are committed to providing the opportunity for officials to register at whatever point hockey becomes available in their areas. And if that means that they need to attend a seminar in December or January, we'll certainly do that. And now with our virtual seminar program, officials can attend a seminar really anywhere in the country where it's being offered. The one thing I just like to point out is that if an official does attend a seminar outside of their virtual seminar outside of their district, that they make sure they touch base with their local supervisor of officials for USA Hockey to make sure that there's not something that they would have normally gotten had they taken a district virtual seminar and need to know. As far as the actual what's the incentive for officials to register now if there's no hockey in their area? Well, you know what? We certainly understand that it's a tough decision with regards to, well, if there's no hockey going on right now, why should I register as an official? And I can't really give you a good reason with that perspective alone. Keep in mind, though, I mean, depending on how you view the news that continues to come at us with regards to how the pandemic is going and what the outlook is for getting it under control, it's very possible there's going to be a spring season or a summer season. And as I said, it's a year-round sport. It would be better to get that registration out of the way in the hope of that happening. And we're all operating on a certain level of hope. And it would also allow officials who have already started their registration process or who have completed their registration process to maybe dig in a little more to some of the things that we wouldn't normally have time to do, like maybe reviewing the rule book a little bit more in the case book, or going through some of our online seminar programs in our library. I mean, these are all things that, time is now a fairly valuable thing. So I think it's a matter of how officials want to look at this as a benefit rather than a detriment to being an official in the amateur hockey world.
No, I think that's a great point, Dave. And I think, look, I know one of the comments that have already come in from the Q&A was making reference to one of the poll questions. And we didn't have an answer or an option to say that there's too many games for the number of officials. Not exactly sure that that's the case right now. Keep in mind, everyone from last season who was registered last season is still eligible to work games until November 30th. So the pool of potential officials to work games as of right now on 11/10/2020 is roughly about 30,000. Okay, so and we know that the number of games are down. We know that there's been a bunch of areas that have actually even backtracked here in the last 24 hours and have shut down and restricted some things. So the bottom line is if those officials, those roughly 12,000 officials who haven't registered out of that 30,000, haven't registered at this point, and they're not willing to work games right now because of COVID or something like that, that's not necessarily something that's going to be in our control. And we understand everyone has to make a personal choice here. They have to weigh the benefits of being able to officiate and go out and work games and contribute to the game that they love versus the risk of the transmission of COVID or the exposure or anything else that they want along those lines. And we understand that people and officials specifically are going to need to make those decisions, and that's a personal decision that they need to make. But a big part of what USA Hockey's mission is here is we're going to provide, knowing that many areas of the country are currently playing hockey. Many areas of the country are going to do everything that they can to keep hockey going throughout the course of the season, and there may be some setbacks. There is no question about that. But USA Hockey's role really is to provide the resources and provide the information and the sanctioning for those areas that are going to be able to participate throughout the entire season, and also more importantly throughout the entire calendar year, because I know that there's already been talk of some of those areas that have gotten off to a slow start where they haven't been able to get going here in September, October, November, are already making plans to extend the season into the spring and or into the summer to provide the opportunities for those younger players to be able to continue to participate in the game. And we're certainly going to need officials at that point too. Steve, quick comment. How have the virtual seminars gone in Minnesota? What's some of the feedback that you've received there? And where do you see everything fitting in down the road?
Okay, our first of all, we made a decision this year to really have everything virtual. We felt it was necessary that the in-person be, left behind until this COVID pandemic is over with. And from a viewpoint of next year, once things get back to kind of normal, we're going to probably have both in-person and the virtual seminar. So far, we've had no complaints really. In fact, a lot of people really enjoy this virtual, especially the video component. Since October 19th, Minnesota holds about 60 to 80 seminars a year normally. And this year we're at 64, so there's not been a real big increase. But since October 19th, every seminar we've held 20 of them since then, has reached its seating capacity. So that's just another supporting issue that things are on the rise, and officials are starting to register and realize that there probably is going to be a season. Every day, Minnesota gets 10 to 15 more officials registering, and I'm sure by the end of the week, we're going to be over 2,000. With that said, we are at capacity on all of our seminars. We're gonna add more seminars, and probably going to be in December that there's going to be seminars in not only Minnesota, but I'm pretty sure all the other districts nationwide. And it was good to hear in the chat that you missed, a lot of people miss the in-person, because you need to let us know this, and you need to let your district RACs know that the in-person seminar is a product that you're going to want and need. So, like I said, going forward, I'm pretty sure, that it's going to be a blend of virtual and in-person seminars, and especially the brand new level ones. I think it's a resounding common theme amongst my instructors that brand new level ones enjoy the virtual portion, but we still need to get them out on the ice. So definitely brand new level ones next year. We'll probably have a virtual component, and for sure an on ice component, so that they can actually know where to stand and where to be on the rink versus trying to explain it on whiteboard or something like that through a virtual seminar.
Dave, you try to keep your finger on the pulse of the national level. Anything to add from what you're hearing or seeing, or the feedback that you've received on virtual seminars, and where they might fit into the grand scheme of the things in the future?
Well, Steve's comments about the Minnesota district pretty much reflect what the national sentiment is, and I think that's reflected a lot in the survey that that participants take at the end of their online seminar component, or I should say the registration portion. You know, obviously we've made a lot of accommodations this year with regards to the registration process and the components in the registration process. The virtual seminar portion being the biggest one. And you know what? There are two different groups, as you said earlier, and as Steve has said, that some enjoy the virtual environment and others enjoy the in-person. And I think, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that from this point on, the virtual seminar will be part of our seminar program offering. The question is the challenge for us is going to be to meet the right kind of balance between virtual seminars and in-person seminars. Again, a lot of that depends on obviously where we are with state restrictions and so on with the pandemic. We're all hoping that we don't have the same restrictions starting with next year's regular season. But as Steve said, we will put on seminars as long as the demand is there. Because that's part of our responsibilities, is to provide those opportunities for officials to complete the registration and the educational requirements that make our officials stand above a lot of other officiating types of groups. And I'm not criticizing other officiating groups, but we have one of the most comprehensive educational programs around, and we're very proud of that. And it's been refreshing to see how well received the virtual seminar format has been. Granted, there probably wasn't a lot of options in a lot of areas of the country, but my hat's off to all of the people who have attended, and my hat's off even more to our seminar instructing staff, who kind of had to do a quick adaptation to this new teaching environment, and really did an outstanding job based on, as you said, Matt, the number of people who have already gone through the seminar program, most, if not 98% of it being virtual.
Just a side note here. I know our Minnesota seminars, we're running at about 15% right now of out of district people. So it just reemphasizes the fact that if you can't find something in your own district, please go on out there and, spread the word that, you don't have to attend one of your own district seminars.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen. Steve, next question for you. I wanted to shift gears a little bit here and talk more specifically some return to play guidelines. Minnesota hockey is probably right now, at least, the gold standard as it relates to having a relatively formal and structured return to play guidelines for players, coaches, officials, parents, and everyone else. How has that all worked, and where is hockey in Minnesota sitting right now in essentially the middle of this pandemic?
Yeah, just a little bit of history. A committee with Minnesota Hockey started the return to play guidelines in early May. This was after our state tournaments were halted after the very first day of competition. So they've had quite some time to work on that. They've rolled it out in 3 phases. Starting phase 1 was rolled out in June 1st, followed by phase 2 in June 24th. And then the final phase 3, was rolled out on September 1st. Each of these phases had benchmark levels to achieve before we moved on to the next phase. And as I said earlier, being as fluid as we can be with this pandemic, Minnesota Hockey and its committee periodically reviews their return to play guidelines. And it also monitors the infection rates that are taking place and has protocols to deal with if there's an outbreak on a team or a player. So if you want to really learn more about Minnesota hockey's return to play, you can go there and visit minnesotahockey.org website, and you've got about an hour to digest of some of the things they've put out there. I'm sure that every other district, every other state has a return to play guideline, and I know USA Hockey has also implemented a lot of protocols and structure as far as return to play. So, it changes. There's probably changes that have happened since I started talking. So I would encourage you to, visit your local district website, USA Hockey. And if you want to take a look at Minnesota Hockey's website to find out more about the COVID return to play guidelines, please do so.
Okay, thanks, Steve. And just for, again, informational purposes, there's 3 fairly large, significant hockey areas, New York, Illinois, and California right now, that have been extremely slow to get started and haven't approved games. I know in New England right now, many of the states are restricting travel outside of the state. So, for example, if you're in Connecticut, you can't leave Connecticut to play games. You can't have teams come in from outside of Connecticut. And I know that that's most of New England right now. So there are a few areas that have taken a step or 2 back. And hockey is even on a temporary hiatus right now. With that being said, I guess, Dave, my question to you is how can the hockey community learn to live with the pandemic? And is there still hope for a relatively complete season?
That's a challenging question to answer. And I might add to your list of states is also Massachusetts has taken a step or 2 back recently too. Look, I think overall, just like the rest of the general society, the hockey community is going to have to, first of all, have some patience. We have every intention of moving forward as fast as we are allowed to do that. And I'm sure everybody who's listening to this call now or even in the future will realize that, every state and sometimes every city and every county has different restrictions in place and different ways they're dealing with the pandemic. And the hockey world has to find a way to exist within those restrictions and be able to react to the changes, as Steve just said, that sometimes happen on a weekly basis. Listen, we continue to put plans in place that if the hockey world is allowed to come back and have some type of regular season, just because in the past the season has gone from, let's say, September through March or April, that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't or we don't have the ability to modify that if the conditions allow us to be able to do that. So, we're very hopeful. And again, as I said, we have put plans in place to be able to do that. But again, we have to be able to see some real improvements around the country in order to be able to really move forward in a more aggressive way. But right now, it's very hit and miss depending on what part of the country and what state you're in.
Yeah, I know I was part of a youth council call today, and obviously they're monitoring the potential for national tournaments and championships very, very closely. I know that there's a couple of hosts that are in those areas that aren't currently playing and are looking at alternatives to be able to possibly move those. But it's something that that continues to be monitored very closely, and it is something that I think over the next probably 6 to 8 weeks, is going to be a pretty good indication as whether we're going to be able to conduct the national tournaments. But at this point, USA Hockey is committed to doing everything that we can to safely and logically and rationally be able to sanction and keep hockey going in as many areas as possible for as long as we possibly can. And good news again on vaccines today. Hopefully that may help things a little bit, and especially as we move into the new year and those types of things. It certainly can't get any worse than what 2020 as a calendar year has been in a lot of different ways. Going to try to shift gears here a little bit. Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to add one thing to what you just said, because everything you said is absolutely on the mark. But I also want to just add that we also have to throw into that mix, what can we do that's going to be fair to everybody? Because of the various conditions around the country, we also want to make sure that everyone is treated equally and fairly. So that's going to be another challenge that we have to throw into the mix too. So pardon the interruption.
Great, not a problem. Going to shift gears here a little bit and get away from the registration angle and talk about some of the other issues that are significant or important to USA Hockey. Dave, you were part of a subcommittee that dealt with updating the zero tolerance policy. USA Hockey made a very strong statement back in June at our annual Congress with unanimous support by the board of directors on this updated policy. Where is it at right now? Obviously, a lot of things kind of sort of been put on the back burner because of the pandemic. But where is USA Hockey right now in the zero tolerance? Are we still committed to it? And what do you expect moving forward as it relates to USA Hockey support?
Thanks for bringing that up, Matt. From a national organization standpoint, as well as all the way down to the affiliate level, USA Hockey is still fully committed to that policy. It took us a long time to make that the changes that we did. The changes that we made were ones that needed to be made, and as hockey continues to reemerge slowly, we have every intention of maintaining that policies and those standards that were set out. And it just adds to the challenge that we have in bringing hockey back. But absolutely, we are still fully committed to enforcing that those standards that were outlined in that policy.
Okay, thanks for that, Dave. Steve, similar type of question, I guess, as it relates to the Declaration of Player Safety that was adopted in June of 2019. I know the USA Hockey is still very much committed to that. What are you seeing here at the rinks, among the officiating ranks, and where do you see that going in terms of changing the culture of the game?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Last year we did see an enhanced awareness to attempt to make sure that we adhere to the Declaration of Player Safety. And, a lot of it is driven by the player side, making sure that players are able to showcase their skills and not be intimidated through, illegal and dangerous acts. One of the things we did notice is that people were educated on to see what the defending player did as far as how he pursued the puck carrier, how he engaged the puck carrier, where his stick was, and the methods he used to engage that puck carrier. And without a lot of video examples from last year, we were kind of trying to do it more of an audible type instruction. And this year with our virtual seminars, and we have all that great video of showing, how a player should engage another player with the intent of gaining possession of the puck versus separating that player and, maybe being unnecessarily violent and taking yourself out of the play. Those video examples are really re-emphasizing what was implemented last year. So hopefully now we're going to be a little bit more clear, with the visual complement in our seminars.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Rapid fire here, Dave. One of the things that the RICs have talked about here recently is making a greater commitment to the evaluation program and the importance of that program for the overall development of officials and those types of things. What's going on in that particular area, and what can you tell the group right now in terms of moving forward?
Lightning round, huh?
Yep.
Well, listen, besides, the officiating program leadership, which of course includes the district referee in chiefs, besides having to deal with the challenges that the pandemic is presenting, it's also understands the need to continuously review the overall program and all of its components. And of course, the evaluation program is one of them. The evaluation program has been around for any number of years. However, it probably has not been given the kind of attention that we need to give it now, especially because of the need for bringing more new officials into the game. And the evaluation program really needs to be viewed more as an educational resource more than an evaluation resource. And to that end, we, the district RACs have mandated a kind of reboot, you might say, of the whole evaluation program. And there's currently a series of conference calls going on with all of the individual district evaluation coordinators to basically break it down, break the evaluation program down, put together something that is maybe more in tune and fits the needs of our current set of officials, particularly the new and less experienced officials, and then to bring it back to the district RACs for implementation across the nation. So there's definitely new energy, new momentum being put into that evaluation program.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Steve, let's talk mentor program. For those of you that have been paying attention throughout the Zoomcast starting back in June, the official section made a very strong commitment to the mentor program and recognizing that the importance of mentoring our brand new officials and essentially getting them from year 1 to year 3 in order to keep them around to help with our retention rates. Currently, we lose about 50% of our new officials each season, but if we can get that new official to year 3, we have a 90% retention rate. So we made the commitment to the mentor program. Steve, do you have any examples of some positive examples of any successes so far? And what has been the experience with mentoring in your state?
Okay, Dave said this is kind of rapid fire, but I think we're looking at the clock and making sure we don't go over. But successes in Minnesota, there are a lot of successes. In fact, one of our veteran officials, JB Olson, our level 4 seminar coordinator, has a daughter for the first time registered and enrolled, and she had her first mentored game by Yvonne Fix just a couple weeks ago. It was kind of interesting. JB mentioned that she felt a lot more comfortable having somebody out there, not only a seasoned official, but of the same gender, which shouldn't make a difference. But, that's just one of them. Obviously, Minnesota, we've had a mentoring program around the state by district, but they're not all congruent. We don't get real good feedback and documentation and reporting of the development of each official. That's basically left up to the individual district. Minnesota has 12 districts, and with each district, what I'm working on, and then as soon as December rolls around, I'm going to be rolling out. I've got an organizational structure set up where each district has a mentor coordinator. And if they've already got a mentoring program in place, the structure is mainly set out to define ways that we can report the success ratios and actually put some solid numbers on officials that do return, have been mentored, and making sure that there's a flow and some documentation to that. Our plan is not to change anything that's already in place in the districts that already have a mentorship program, just in how it's reported out. There's an intermediate, we're going to have one person head this whole mentoring program. From there, there'll be 3 other people that are regionalized, making sure that the official, the brand new official, their only job is that they get a card and a crest in the mail, And then they turn that official's name over to each district so that they can monitor and track their progress and give us some success stories.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Dave, so much for the rapid fire, because I think this next a topic for you that I want you to touch on real quick, we could probably spend about 6 hours on, but it goes down to the assignment process. I know one of the things that has been a significant topic of conversation within the officiating community, and certainly the district referees and chiefs, has been the role that the assigners play in creating that environment for all of the officials within their area, but specifically providing opportunity for new officials, and what type of an impact they may have on helping us and addressing the retention issue as well. What are some of the things that USA Hockey may be looking at to support assigners? Are there any success stories in terms of some things that are being done in certain areas that you're aware of? And I guess more importantly, how do we go about holding those assigners accountable for the even or proper distribution of games, I guess, versus just simply going out and giving their best 10 buddies all the games that they want, and then kind of sort of filling in at the end?
Well, you're right. We would need a weekend to really even start to answer that particular question, because it's a very complicated one. Anybody who's involved in the hockey world, and particularly the officiating world, understands the key part that an assigner plays in an official's development. And as you said, or as we've talked about here, we're looking at rebooting our evaluation program. Steve talked about our mentoring program, and these are both programs that really can have a very strong positive influence on new officials coming into the game, or even officials who are in the game and are just continuing to gain more experience. What we're trying to do, and obviously, again, because of our current pandemic conditions, it's creating more challenges, is to, first of all, to try and get assigners to understand the key role that they play in the overall development of officials, and particularly as it comes to the retention issue. Retention, as we all know, is critical in being able to keep experienced officials in the game. And as you said, Matt, earlier, if we can keep officials into that third year, chances are we're probably going to have them for several more after that. And the game assignment process is a big part of that. I don't have the answer to the question. All that we can do, I think, is continue to try to get them to understand that they're an intricate part of the program. We want them to be partners in what we are trying to do, which is to recruit and more so retain officials. And in doing that, I mean, we have the assigner's guide. We've certainly, over the last handful of years, if not longer, have reached out to the local affiliates to get them to understand the importance of the assigner, and that they need, hopefully, to demonstrate to them that they need to get somewhat invested in the whole issue of the officiating development in their geographic area for hockey. And that's an ongoing process, because once again, being a volunteer organization, a lot of affiliate personnel tends to turn over every few years, and it's just a continuous education process with them also. You know what, they have a lot on their plate. We understand that, but at the same point in time, officiating is an important part of the game, and in turn, part of what they're responsible in governing.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Steve, we're going to throw a little plug for our tenured program and our advanced officiating symposium. We just started. Obviously, we had to cancel or postpone the 2020 event. We did our first event, advanced symposium, back in 2019 in the Minneapolis area. The 2020 event's been rescheduled for August 6th through the 8th, 2021 in Providence, Rhode Island. Spoke to the hotel again last week, and everything seems to be going at least according to plan, at least right now. Obviously, the pandemic can change those plans again over the course of the next 6 to 8 months. But with that being said, we have opened up registration. It is on our tenured page of usahockey.com officials, and look for tenured officials, and there'll be a link to the registration for those that are interested. But for our audience here tonight, maybe you could share a little bit about what your experience was with the first advanced symposium, and give a little bit of a feedback in terms of what it was like, how what the format was, and your recommendation for the future.
Okay. Obviously, not only was I there, but Dave and yourself, and I don't know what more can I say. This is really right in the wheelhouse of our seasoned veteran officials. A weekend of new information. We don't cover all the mundane topics that veterans can perform in their sleep. It sets them up for fewer and smoother registration steps in the future. It educates them, and not only that, but it was really well received by, I think, 8% of the attendees had positive things to say about this. I can't comment on the few negative ones because I don't even remember them anymore. I guess basically the only real drawback I saw is that this is something we should have implemented 10 years ago. We had a lot of veteran officials that really could have used this, and maybe even helped improve retention by giving them something to shoot for, and other younger officials to shoot for going on. But I would highly encourage anyone to attend this. If you've got 5 to 10 years under your belt, and you're a crusty old level 3 and you don't want to listen to the same old stuff, there is a variety of topics that we don't even touch in seminars anymore, and it's definitely worth the while. What more can I say?
Dave, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, and those different topics are presented by very interesting, very credible, very knowledgeable hockey people that you probably wouldn't normally have an opportunity to listen to or hear, and then to mingle with. I mean, the experience is truly a unique one, and I realize some people may say that is coming from a very biased point of view, but I mean, if you look at the presenters from the first one, it was a pretty impressive group of hockey people. So I too, would strongly encourage anybody who maybe is kind of really tired of going to their local level 3 or level 4 seminar to look at this opportunity, because it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and the format was set up for a day of professional officials, international officials, and a day of grassroots officials. And like Dave said, there are some officials in there that are going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame just for the Guild of Officiating. So, like he said, very knowledgeable and very entertaining, and easy and fun to listen to.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen. I'm going to share my screen here. I have a few obligatory things to just cover real quick as part of my contract as the moderator. Both Scotty Zelkin and BJ Ringrose are very adamant that I need to make sure that I share the upcoming schedule for the next 4 Zoomcast, or at least the next 3, I guess. Next Tuesday, November 17th, we're going to talk about the instructor training program. And I think BJ Ringrose is going to moderate that with Melissa Scola, a 2018 Olympic referee, and Nick Zaglifa, who's one of our top instructors and been involved in the instructor training program for quite some time. On Tuesday, the 24th, right before Thanksgiving, before your bellies may explode from a nice dinner, Scott Zelkin, I think, is going to lead a panel in discussion of exploding games and how to handle the most tense situations and those types of things. And then coming back on Tuesday, December 1st, we have some people involved. I'll be involved with some people who are at the affiliate level who are involved in discipline, and talking about game reports, how to write some game reports, what's important for a disciplinary committee to be able to learn, and what's the information that they need from a well-written game report, and also what their thought process is in dealing with match penalties and some of the other supplementary discipline issues. So we have 3 very good topics coming up here, and hopefully that you'll join us for those. As a reminder, be sure to follow us on social media, not only the USAHockey.com website, but the YouTube.com, where you can go back and view any one of our previous Zoomcasts on demand. The USA Hockey Officiating Twitter account and Instagram and some of the other areas, be sure to follow. I know our You Make the Call on Fridays has become a pretty popular thing through Twitter, and hopefully that's something that that you've had a chance to participate with as well. As a reminder, there will be a follow-up survey sent for the participants tonight. We appreciate the feedback and taking a couple of minutes to give us your thoughts on how we did tonight and whether it was relevant information for you. I want to thank all the participants for joining us tonight. And before I thank the panelists, I just want to give Dave and Steve a moment here to each give some final thoughts from their side. Dave, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do want to leave everyone with just one thought when we were talking about registrations. I would just, we certainly understand with returning officials and new officials, but particularly returning officials, why there may be some reason to hesitate to re-register for this new season. I would just like to give you some information with regards to, if you're a returning official, chances are you've probably already committed to the whole officiating philosophy. With regards to, continuous registration, we do have the service award program where, depending on your years of registration, you will receive a small token of our appreciation for continuous registration. If for some reason you decide, because there's no hockey in your area and you don't see any, that you would like to be able to register, but if you don't, you're going to break your continuous registration level, consider registering as an affiliate official. That will allow you to be able to maintain your continuous registration. But keep in mind, if you do that, and hockey comes back, you are not allowed to go back on the ice as an affiliate membership level person. So please think carefully about that. We would prefer you come back so that you are eligible to go back on the ice. Please, again, as Matt said, it's a personal decision. And if you need to wait a little longer, okay, just remember that your registration expires at the end of this month. So if hockey comes back, you'll have to kind of cram it to get your registration completed so that you can go back on the ice after the end of this month if you don't complete your registration. Thank you again, and everyone, please stay safe.
Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Dave and Matt. Obviously, we're going to end pretty much on time. I get to go out and walk around the block before I go to bed. 24 degrees up here. Nice brisk walk. I'll make it short, but really, the thing I really want to leave you with is be an integral part of our guild. Reach out to your district referee and chiefs if you've got ideas or want to see some changes implemented. I know that we don't do things that aren't presented to us. Obviously, we need to hear from you. So as Dave said, please be safe, be healthy, and hockey will be back.
Thanks, Steve. And I think one of the things that I just want to leave everyone with tonight is look, it's been a very challenging 9 months. I don't think anyone is going to deny that in a lot of different ways, and certainly it's been challenging for the hockey community as well. And one of the things that I think we're finding is that to be able to successfully pull this off, and we all realize we all love the game, we all want people to be involved, we want kids to be able to play, and those types of things. So we need to do our part, and our part is following protocols, following safety protocols and local guidelines, doing smart things like wearing a mask, especially when you're not on the ice, washing your hands on a regular basis. Hand sanitizer should probably be a regular fixture in your hockey bag nowadays, and bring it out to the scorer's table so you can continually sanitize your hands and do some of those types of things. That's all just common sense thing to help create that positive environment, and also the safe environment to hopefully be able to allow hockey to continue. So if we do our part, that's great. But there's another part of that as well, and that is we have to maybe step up and do our part in some other ways that we normally wouldn't. We are going to be down in total number of officials. I think that that's pretty clear. We're not going to magically register 8,000 officials throughout the course of the next 6 weeks. My guess is by the end of the season, I'm anticipating we're going to be at about 80%, and the vast majority of that loss is going to be at the level 1 level. So it becomes even more important then that we address the retention issues, and everyone that's here is in a position to be able to do that through mentoring, by reaching out to that younger official and making them feel welcome, and providing them some guidance and some feedback, and setting them up for success, because that's ultimately what we need to do. The other part of that is we may need to step down if we don't normally work scored or pee-wee games. We're not above that. And the bottom line is maybe we need to step down because there's not going to be as many newer officials to be able to work some of those games. Use that as an opportunity to go down, work those games, do the best you can, and create that positive experience for those younger players, but also then use it as an opportunity to mentor the newer officials and do those things. So what I'm asking is, and what I'm pleading, so to speak, is we're going to need all hands on deck over the course of the next 4 to 6 months to be able to have a successful season, to get as many kids out on the ice as we possibly can, and also creating that opportunity for us to enjoy the game that we love. And we realize that everyone has a decision to make as it relates to the risk and reward, and we're going to respect that. But for those that are involved, and those that are going to continue to be part of our officiating community and want to be able to take that risk because they see the rewards, then the bottom line is we need to step up, and we need all hands on deck to do whatever we can to help with the retention issue and make sure that we get those games covered. So again, I want to thank the panelists, Steve and Dave, for your participation tonight. Very much appreciate not only what you just gave us for an hour and 20 minutes or so on a Tuesday night, but what you do day in and day out for the sport of ice hockey. And for everyone else that participated, thank you very much for your continued dedication and commitment to the game and to the art of officiating. And if there's ever anything that we can do to make your experience a little bit more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Be safe. Good luck. Have a great Thanksgiving if I don't see you before then. And I guess BJ and company will see most of you again next Tuesday. Thanks, and have a great night.